Q&A time.
Oh, seriously?
Hey guys, and welcome to this question and answers video with myself, 6+ Stevo. So yeah, I've not done one of these for quite a while, and I thought it would be fun, and I thought the awesome community out there is sure to have some awesome questions for me to give awesome answers to. So let's just get straight into it. We're in no particular order. I'm just going to read these as they come, and yeah, let's go with it. So we have our first question here from Carl Hudson. It says, do you think boys/grots in 9th will be used less in favour of more elite units due to blast weapons, wyverns with 24 shots firing twice, etc.? Good question. Will boys and grots be used less? No. I think possibly the way in which they're used will be changed. I think there's a strong possibility we may see less large size squads, so less squads of 30 orc boys, for example. Larger squads are going to be on the receiving end of these blast weapons now. So yeah, I think we might see a change in the way orc armies are run. I think you could still run orc armies with lots of boys and lots of grots, but potentially in more smaller squads. But yeah, it remains to be seen how it's all going to balance out. I mean, none of us have actually had a chance to put all these new rules into practice yet, or at least most of us haven't. There's a lot of things that have changed. The boards have got smaller. There are rules with certain units not being able to fall back out of combat, like flying units and things, for example. And then blast weapons and vehicles being able to shoot into combat and stuff. So a lot has changed. And it's going to be interesting to see how these new rules affect our lists and how we adapt and tweak and change our lists and what the optimal build is for them. But no, I think boys will always be the core of most orc armies. My orc army is a dread mob, so it doesn't really have that many boys in it. That's because I've gone for quite an elite style mechanised army anyway. And that's not because of meta or, power gaming or anything like that. It's just because I love that sort of idea of loads of cans and dreads and stuff. But yeah, good question. I think we may see more elite units, but I don't think it's the death of boys and grots and things. I think things like all the objectives and secondary objectives are still going to be crucially important. I just think we may see smaller squads of them, but I don't think we're going to see them go away. I still think those core troops are still incredibly valuable in game. But thank you for the question, Carl. Next question from Moronic Body. Gork or Mork? Ooh, it's a tough one. My instinct is to say Gork because I like to be brutal and cunning rather than cunning and brutal. Yeah. Don't know which one I am really. I mean, they've both got their pros and cons. They're both cunning and brutal, or brutal and cunning. So I guess it doesn't really matter. I think I'll go Gork. I think I'll go brutal and cunning. Yeah. And if you think differently, I'll fight you zoggers. So yeah, thank you for the question. Next question is from Simon Miller. Are you a Gorker or a Morker? Well, I do like to be brutal, but I do like to be cunning. I guess I'll probably, I don't know, some cunning is good, so I guess I'll probably be a Morker. And if you think different, I'll fight you zoggers. Next one, Marcus Castellanos. He asks, if 40k was not part of your life, what would your YouTube channel be about? That is a fantastic question, Marcus. Thank you. That's a very good question. So I guess this sort of goes into, I created the channel because I have an interest in the hobby, and more specifically orcs in general, but the hobby as a whole. But yeah, I have lots of other interests as well. Lots of other things I would have a lot to say on. I'm never short of words, as most of you realise. Yeah, I mean, my other interests, I guess, movies. I love movies. I'm a big movie buff. And and I've wanted to talk about things like movies a lot. I've kind of have done a little bit in sort of live chats and things. But under advice from various people who've said to not sort of dilute your channel with other content. You know, people come to your channel for one thing. But I have been discussing with someone the possibility of doing like something a little bit different on the channel and like doing content about movies and TV shows and things, and potentially putting that as a playlist of sort of a non-hobby playlist and just talking about movies. But I'm still sort of thinking about it and how that's going to affect the channel, and if that would put some people off if I started doing non-hobby related content. But yeah, guys, share your thoughts below on that if you would like to see me talk about sort of movies and things like that. So yeah, that's one thing I would probably cover. Gaming as well, although the hobby has somewhat replaced gaming for me. At some point in the past, gaming replaced the hobby for me. I was big into my gaming and stuff. Used to have collections of old retro consoles, most of which I've since sold off over the years. But yeah, I had a big interest in sort of collecting and gaming and things. So yeah, again, another topic I possibly would have covered. But yeah, I don't know. Nothing else really made me want to do YouTube. The hobby really made me want to do YouTube, I think. So yeah, I don't know if it wasn't for the hobby, if I would even do it at all. I don't know. It's a bloody good question though, Marcus. Really like that question. Another question from Marcus. When will you start painting that battle fortress? I'm looking up at it right now. That's not me thinking. I'm looking up at it. It's there taunting me. I don't know is the short answer. The long answer is I've got my list that I'm currently working towards getting done so I can start doing bat reps and stuff and get that challenge done that's been set to me to get the 1.5k list painted up. I'm almost there. I've got a unit of shooter boys on the desk here in front of me that are 75% sort of there, 50 to 75% there. And then after them, it's just my tank busters who are... all the base colours are on there. They're almost done. So I am almost there. Once that's done, I'm probably going to carry on chipping away slowly and get that army up to the sort of 2,000 point mark. Yeah, once I've got a good size painted army that's big enough to play big games in, that'll be the point where I want to get that thing built and painted, because that will be the centerpiece of my full painted orc army. So it's something that will be done 100%, but it's just also something that there's no point having that painted yet if I don't have an army to support it, because I'm not going to be using that thing in small games, because that just doesn't really work. It's going to be like apocalypse size games only, or at least very large points games. So yeah, it's going to be done. I don't know when, but when I do it, I will probably make a sort of a playlist series of working on it as it goes and make some content of me sort of building that thing and painting it and stuff, and so you'll see the progress made on it. But yeah, it's something I really look forward to. Another good question, Marcus. Thank you, mate. We've got another question here from Sticks8888, and he asks, are the Elder truly pansies? Yeah, of course they are. Of course they're pansies. They don't like a good straight up fight. We like a good straight up fight. We just run headlong into battle and take on anyone. The pansies, they like to be sneaky and crafty and, yeah, a bit cowardly, aren't they? And they like to prance about. And they have like ribbons and things hanging off them and twirl and... Yeah, they're pansies. Next question, Ian Wilson. What is a vehicle/walker you would love to convert into an orc disaster piece? So I'm trying to understand the question there. I presume. Do you mean? Well, you can't reply back to me. This is a one-way communication, so I don't even know why I'm asking this. But I'm wondering whether you mean a disaster piece. Do you mean a wreckage that I just take a vehicle and sort of convert it almost into terrain, like a wreckage? Or by orc disaster piece, do you just mean take it, loot it, bash loads of stuff on it and turn it into an orc vehicle? I'm going to take it as the second. And I would... Something I plan to do and want to convert is that... what's it called? It's from the Cult Mechanicus... the Dune Crawler. I've seen them done. They've been done, shown off on my Orc Community Showcase. Someone converted one of them up into a mech gun, which looked really cool. I really like the idea of converting one of those into a Mecha Dread. The big sort of four-legged walker things, and turning one of them into a Mecha Dread to go into my Dread mob. I really like the idea of that. So that is something I do intend to obtain at some point and convert. But there's lots of things. I mean, I would like to convert a Land Raider into a Battle Wagon. Lots of stuff. But I think that would be top of the list, though, the Dune Crawler, definitely, because I haven't seen many of those done, but it just works really well. Some of the Gene Stealer cult vehicles as well, they're asking for looting. We've got a question here from Roxy the Riveter. Who is your all-time favourite third-party company? Good question. There's a lot of good third-party companies out there that are creating amazing stuff. I just covered very recently For Fun Minis, their bits. I think at the moment I'd have to say them. They're right up there, and they're a very small company. Pretty much, I think, a one-man operation. So there's a very small amount of stuff there, but the quality of the stuff is incredible, and I just love the design of it all as well. For me, a lot of third-party companies go off in their own direction, and whether that be because they're sort of fearful of copyright with Jank Games Workshop, or whether they're just going in a different direction, and it's very much down to personal taste. It's not necessarily wrong, because a lot of people prefer those looks. Just for me, my favourite third-party components and parts and miniatures is stuff that ties in really well with GW's range. I don't want my stuff to clash and look very different. And I think some of the companies do that. Like Cromlech, for example, make loads of awesome stuff, and I've got some Cromlech bits in my army and really like them. I've never been keen on their heads for orcs. They've got weird faces and stuff, and it's not that they're crap or anything. I mean, they look good. They're just... I don't like them as much as GW's ones. And even if I did, I don't like the fact that they look so different, that you put them in and they just don't mesh together. So yeah, I would say For Fun Minis at the moment is right up there for me. But there's loads of company. Puppets War do some really cool stuff. Cromlech do really cool stuff. Obviously, we've got Gear Guts as well, who's doing amazing stuff with 3D printing and also selling resin miniatures of his sculpts, and does incredible stuff in terms of scale and vehicles and things, and just wow, it's ludicrous what that guy's producing. But there's loads of other RTLW creating some really good stuff. Some of their stuff I really like, some of it not so much, again because they take in a very different design aesthetic. But yeah, For Fun Minis at the moment, they're my favourite. Thank you, Roxy. We've got one here from Reroll Joe, my arch nemesis. He asks, with 9th around the corner, Do you think the game is tailored more towards close combat now with a smaller board, making armies start closer, and Overwatch being massively nerfed? Or do you think it will just even out the game instead of shooting being more dominant? Good question, Joe. Very good question. Yeah, I don't think close combat's going to be dominant in 9th. It hasn't been for a long time now. 8th was very much shooty edition, and close combat assault-based armies have struggled. Having said that, I still think shooting is going to be king in 9th, but I think close combat is definitely going to... The shooting's here, close combat's here in 8th. I think in 9th, it'll sort of go like that. Shooting will still be king, but close combat will be better, like you say, because of smaller board sizes. You've got less distance to travel to get into combat. Also, we've got things like, as I said earlier, a lot of units that got the sort of universal rule that because they had the keyword fly, they could freely leave combat and then dagger the hell out of you. That's gone now. So there's a lot more units that when you get them in combat, they're going to be stuck in combat with you. So that's a big buff. But then there's a lot of things on the other side that are not so much a buff. We've got now the new coherency rules with being within half an inch of half an inch and things like that. So less of your stuff's going to be able to fight. So it's a bit of swings and roundabouts. I do think overall combat will be stronger than it has been in 8th. But I think shooting has received a lot of buffs too. Blast weapons being the big one. Vehicles being able to shoot into combat. Lots more units now can fire heavy weapons without the negative modifiers, unless it's just infantry now. So all the walkers and vehicles now armed with heavy weapons are going to be far better. So yeah, it's a bit of swings and roundabouts. I still think shooting is going to be king. And I just want to say this as well. It should be king. It should be. Older editions, combat was king. And it didn't make much sense. Now, I'm not saying combat shouldn't be brutal and savage and cause some heavy losses. But in a science fiction game based in the future with advanced weaponry, yes, of course, shooting should be king. But you've got to balance that carefully and still make assault armies viable. So, yeah. I think it's the gap between will be closed a little bit. Next question here from Redura. More conversions for the Death Skulls. Loot dis. That's not really a question, is it, buddy? That's more of a statement. But yes, thank you for that. Moving on. Joe the Juggalo. He asks, I've been playing Orcs since 7th edition. So my question is to mainly help out new Orc players and their teeth bags. What Orc unit or model would you recommend a new Orc player to try converting or kitbash to help their mech skills grow? Good question. That depends whether it be conversions or kitbashes, because kitbashes are generally, I'd say to a new person starting out, if you wanted to start kitbashing, get a looter's kit and a boy's kit and have some fun mixing the parts together, because you don't really need any skills. You can just, if you swap the head from the standard, if you take a head from the looter's kit and put it on a boy's body, there you go, you've got a kitbash mini. That's as easy as it is, just a head swap. So you can do a lot of things like that. So kitbashing for the most part is very simple and easy to do. You're just literally swapping parts and mixing parts from different kits. Conversions, on the other hand, conversions is a little bit more possibly using green stuff, or possibly just cutting and filing bits down to fit in a way that they weren't intended to and things. So yeah, good question. For a newcomer, what would I recommend them to do? Where would I recommend to start? The truck kit. The Orc truck kit would be a great place to start, actually. Because that's so kit bashable and convertible. And it's designed in such a way that all the parts of it can be used from any angle and no matter what. A lot of the vehicles now that come out, you look on the underside, there's no detailing and stuff. With the truck kit, you've got all the axles and the sort of the suspension and stuff and the wheels and things, and so you could use the truck kit quite easily to convert buggies, convert mech guns and things when mashed with other kits. So yeah, I'd probably advise someone who wanted to have a dabble in kit bashing to get the truck kit and just have some fun with it and experiment. And also a great bit of advice for anyone looking to convert or kit bash is look on YouTube. Look at examples of kit bashing and conversions, get some inspiration and ideas, and then find videos of how to. There's loads of guides on YouTube for how to do certain things, how to work with green stuff, how to work with milliput and things, how to sort of cut things off the sprue and file things down, and what tools you need and everything, what glues to use, because all this stuff can be quite daunting to a newcomer. I'd probably advise a newcomer to just start with kit bashing. Like I say, start with just swapping some heads and arms and using maybe some bits from other kits and mixing them in with it, and just do little simple additions and things, and do things like that, and then they can very slowly build their confidence up, add in a bit of personalisation and things stuff, and then slowly sort of move from the kit bashing into the converting and things. But yeah, good question. We've got a question here from Harron Royer. How does AP-1 affect a 6+ save? Well, it depends on what 6+ save you mean. If it's a 6+ invulnerable save, it doesn't affect it. But I don't think you mean that. I think you mean a standard 6+ save. You get no save because -1 will take you out of. It takes you to a 7+ save, and which you can't get, so you don't get a save. It punches through your armour, and you don't get an armour save. Next question from CM Wargames. What is your favourite 40k unit of all time? That's a bloody hard question to answer. My favourite 40k unit of all time. It's not just covering orcs either, is it? I know way back in like 3rd edition when I played Necrons, my favourite unit in the army then were the Wraiths. I loved using Wraiths. They were very stealthy. They had some great special rules, and they were a nice little counterpoint to assault armies assaulting my Necrons. I could sort of swoop in and catch them on the flanks with the Wraiths, and they would cause some big damage and get my warriors out of trouble. I used to love that unit. Never left home without it. But Wraiths are very different now, and I haven't even used the new version of Wraith. I haven't played Necron since that old edition. It's got to be Tank Busters. It's got to be. I love them. I love Tank Busters because they, on one hand, they're very powerful in game. They are so useful. They're one of the best anti-vehicle units in the game. But also, more than that, I love the look of them and the conversion possibilities. And I have had so much fun making Tank Busters from scratch out of the boys kit, the looters burners kit, mixing in parts from Storm Boys and all sorts to create my Tank Busters, and that has been brilliant fun. That really has been amazing fun, and I couldn't stop making them, so I ended up making 25 Tank Busters, including the bomb squigs that go with them, which are another cool thing in the unit. They're just brilliant fun to create and convert, and then on top of that, they're really fun to use on the tabletop and really good on the tabletop as well. So they cover everything from the modelling and converting aspect to the fun to use to really good to use. They cover all the bases. So yeah, I would have to say Tank Busters actually. Moving on to the next question from Big Mech Dan Skull, who says, in my opinion, Squiggs are criminally underrepresented in 40k. So what, if any kind of Squiggs, would you like to see as models, and how would they function as a unit? Good question, and you are very, very right that they are criminally underrepresented in 40k. They really are. My bomb Squiggs were made from the Squig set from Age of Sigmar. So a word of advice to anyone out there wanting to convert and make bomb Squigs or attack Squigs or Squig Hounds or anything else Squig based. That set, brilliant. I love the Squigs in that set. They're very easy to build, they look awesome, and they're really easy to sort of convert and add bits to. Excuse me. So yeah, first of all, I'd say that someone go out, get that set. You get 10 Squigs in there, which should fulfill all your needs within your army. And yeah, just get them because so good. But yeah, they are underrepresented, I think. What sort of unit would I love to see? I don't know. I mean, currently we've got things like the Squig Buggy that throws out all kinds of Squigs, Squig Mines and Squig Sticks, etc. And we've got Bomb Squigs, which you can get in the Tank Busters kit that GW sell. It comes with 2 Bomb Squigs. That, I would say, are the best part about that Tank Busters kit. I actually bought that kit just to get hold of those Squigs. I got that kit, sold off the Tank Busters because I didn't really like them, converted my own, but had those 2 Bomb Squigs because I do like them. We've got the Squig Hound that comes in the Gretchen kit with the Runt Herd, and Attack Squigs, and yeah, I don't know really. Obviously we've got Squig-Offs and Greater Squig-Offs, but I don't think you're really talking about them, even though they are a form of Squig. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think... there's nothing necessarily that I would like to see a new unit as such of Squigs. I would just like to see better representation of them in terms of miniatures. So more choice and more variety. And it would be just great if GW created, I don't know, maybe like it's not going to happen, but I'd like a set like they've got for Age of Sigmar, but just a box of Squigs that come with various parts. So you could have like Squigs with like a bionic eye or bionic legs, or have the various bits in there to strap dynamite and tank buster bombs and things to the Squigs, or you know, convert them to sort of not convert them, but have the parts to sort of make a good looking attack Squig for your boss and things like that. That's not going to happen. Possibly I'd like to see some sort of snakebite stuff, so sort of colossal Squigs and giant Squigs and things that like the snakebites create. That would be a cool unit to have in the game, but be quite specialised and is not likely to happen. But yeah, just more Squig miniatures, but over necessarily having new sort of data sheets as such. Another question from Marcos. What is your best guess / estimate for the month and year of the release of the next Orc Codex? I wouldn't even want to... I have no idea. No idea. I've seen rumours saying that it's going to be one of the first codexes out. It could be for 9th. It could be. We've got October coming up again. So that would be a very smart decision of GW to tie in a new Orc Codex with that. But I don't think there's any rush for it. With 8th, when 8th was out, we were all using our index books to start with, and we were all waiting for our codexes. Everyone was desperate for their codex, including us, and we had to wait quite a while for our one. There was a sense of urgency then to get those codexes out. I would actually hope with 9th, GW take their time with it. Now, I'm sure that armies that get their 9th edition codexes will receive some buffs and some special rules and things that are designed to work with 9th really well, and they will probably, become the more powerful factions. And I'm sure that armies still relying on their 8th edition codex may sort of slowly get knocked down the pecking order a bit, but I don't want GW to rush them out and give us a book full of mistakes and things. So I feel like the 8th edition codex with the Psychic Awakening book and the Vigilus book and Legends and everything, we've still got lots to work with, and we're still in a good position. I'm sure our tactics and lists will change and tweak and have to adapt to the new rules, but I don't think we're going to be in a bad position. So I don't think there's any sense of urgency or desperation to get the book out. And I think if we received one fairly soon, it reduces the chances of us getting a substantial release alongside that. It would likely just be the book. And I think I would rather see a new codex when they've got some new miniatures to coincide with it. I think what we would see, if it was to come out soon, what we would see is 8th edition with some polishes and tweaks and changes to tie it all in with 9th. And they would just bundle in a lot of the stuff from Vigilus and Saga of the Beast into that book. So you'd get Gazgol and Makari, etc. back in the book and, in their way. So I would like to see more than that. I would like to see a new book with some new data sheets and some new units and new characters, hopefully. Bad Moon Bill asks, hey Stevo, if GW was to remake a model, what one would you want it to be? Nasdreg. Nasdreg. Give us Nasdreg, GW. Yeah, that it would be him. It would be him. I would love to see what GW with their current designs and seeing what they did with Gazzy. I'd love to see what they did with Nasdreg. I would love to see it. And not just, I'm biased obviously, I want Nasdreg because he's a bad moon. And we currently have, for our clan, no special characters, which sucks. Really sucks. And we keep losing characters. We keep losing named characters. And it's funny when armies like Necrons have more named characters than we do. Because we're an incredibly characterful army with loads of personality, and nothing represents that better than the named Orc characters. There's so many cool characters. So you specifically ask about what model remake. Yeah, it'd be him. Definitely. But taking that question another way, if you're talking about like current kits that do still exist to be remade, what would I like to see remade? Deathcopters would be one, because we've got the hideously ugly metal one still going. The Black Reach Deathcopters never got put in a kit on their own, which was one of the biggest missed opportunities on GW's part. That they could have put them in a kit on their own. Such a missed opportunity. But yeah, Deathcopters would be a cool one to see. Commandos, it'd be good to see them redone. I don't even want to talk about the boys kit, because if it was done right, I would love to see the boys kit redone, but I am so terrified of the time when that happens that GW could really screw it up and make that kit and the whole range as a consequence non-modular. If they were to go for much more dynamic posing and things and reduce the posability and the interchangeability between them and the other kits, that would show a complete misunderstanding of what it is to be an Orc collector and Orc player. And I would, when they announce that a new boys kit is on the way, I am gonna be so terrified and just like watching like this, like, is it safe to look yet? Oh. So yeah, but there you go. Great question. Robert Marshall, he asks, what kind of list will you build for 9th? Will you keep it similar to what you do now or make some big changes? Exactly the same, buddy, exactly the same. The list I've made is not designed to be an ultra competitive list. It is much more themed and fluffy, and it's the list I've painted. So when I'm playing casual games with my friends, I'll play with unpainted minis. But if I'm doing bat reports or attending a tournament or doing a meet-up or playing, featuring on someone else's channel, anything like that, then obviously I'll be playing with my painted minis. So regardless of how strong or weak 9th makes that list, it's the list I'm stuck with. And the only way I will be able to change it is by painting more minis. And that will take time, and that will be a slow process. So no. But even just out of the logistics of changing that list, even if that didn't come into it, even if everything I had was painted anyway and that wasn't even part of the equation, not massively. I mean, I do play competitively, but I also play themed. I'm always somewhere in the middle, so I certainly don't play the meta. Never have, never will. I'm sort of somewhere between wanting a list that's not shit, but also wanting a list that's themed. So I'm just fall somewhere in the middle, and I try and make whatever list I do for whatever game I play, I try and go with the theme. So at one point I'll run hordes, another time I might make a dread mob, or it changes. It depends, but I'll always try and sort of go down a theme with it. So yeah, 9th isn't really gonna make any changes really. All my stuff's glued together. I don't do any magnetising or whatever. So even things like the weapons and stuff, like Grotzukas, for example, are probably going to be much better now that killer cans can shoot them with no negative modifier, and that they get the blast special rule. Grotzukas are going to be back in a good position, and I haven't run Grotzukas for a long time, and if I want to run Grotzukas, I'm going to have to build some more cans and equip them with Grotzukas, because none of my cans have them. And there you go. That's another good thing. It's bad to chase the meta, because you build your list and you build your minis and buy your stuff in a certain way that can just change at the drop of a hat. So you're far better off just collecting and building to a theme and what you like and what's fun to you, and just adapting and going with it. Because things that are crap now will be good, and things that are good now will get nerfed, and it's just the nature of the beast. So yeah, I've never been one to chase the meta. Disson Snogoot asks, if you are successful in using the box and packaging from GW products to craft a unit, would it be considered a viable GW unit? I've seen things like this. I've seen the sort of papercraft armies and stuff, and some of them are just incredible, and I find them hilarious, and it's really cool. I think the short answer is no. Yeah. I mean, if you turn up with a lawyer with you, maybe you'll be able to take it to court or something. I don't know. But I've seen the other ones. The ones someone did army with sprues. Literally the leftover sprues. And I think they made like a Necron army out of the sprues. And made like cheap 40k army using the actual sprues to make little stick men with guns. Again, technically, that's still a GW kit. Are they going to allow you into Warhammer World tournament to do that? I highly doubt it. So, yeah, no, I don't think so. But I know some people out there will try it just for the shits and giggles and just to wind someone up. Jeff Biggins asks, which would you pick as a new GW kit? Grot Snipers, Squig Troops, or a Squiggoth? Ooh. It wouldn't be Squig Troops. I've seen some people out there do Squig based armies like Count Saz and conversions and stuff, and they're really cool. But outside of that very, very specialised niche, you could have like a pack of Squiggs led by a herder or something. That would be quite cool, I must admit. Like it's a sort of almost like a cavalry unit, like a beast unit, sort of similar to like what the Dark Elder have with their warp beast. They got the Beastmaster. You could do something like that, and admittedly that would be very cool. But that would be bottom of my list out of those choices. Grot snipers or a Squiggoth. Tough, because I really, really want both. I've been wanting Grot snipers for a long time. Not just a kit, but a data sheet. Obviously, we've got a data sheet for a Squiggoth, and you can get Squiggoths through Forge World, and or convert your own stuff. But we've got the rules for a Squiggoth. We don't have rules for Grot snipers. So I'd probably say the Grot snipers, because then we're going to get rules for them as well. And that would be very, very cool. Grot snipers would be really characterful. And I've spoken about them many times on the channel before. It would be very cool to have Grot snipers. But also very cool to have a plastic Squiggoth. You know, both would be cool. And that's what I'd like to see with 9th edition Codex. Bring out a 9th edition Codex. Return some of the old Orc characters with new miniatures to represent them. Plastic Squiggoth. Plastic Grot snipers. Boom. Happy days. Jim Whaley says, "Alright, Steve, mate. Do you think that we'll see the reintroduction of Orc characters on bikes?" We could. Space Marines have just seen that. They've just had the Chaplain on bike come back, a Primaris variant. Obviously, we do still have them in Legends, and so they are still playable in games. In match play, they're still playable, guys. Don't go thinking they're in Legends so you can't use them anymore. It's not true. You can use them. The only place you can't use them is if you're in a tournament that doesn't allow them. But even then, some tournaments, depending on the tournament organisers, will allow them. They're still there and you can still use them. So we do still have all our characters on bikes, really. They haven't gone away. They've just been moved into Legends, which some people will say, well, that's the place they go to die. Maybe long term, but they're still there at the moment. We've still got them. We can still use them, so they haven't really gone away. Will we see them reintroduced into the Codex is the question I think you're asking. It's certainly possible. A war boss on bike is definitely possible. Like Pain Boy on bike, Big Mech on bike, they're all very possible. It all depends if they're going to do a miniature to coincide with that and do that. Would I bet money on it? No. But never say never. Never say never. It is possible. Next question from Kyle Reiki, aka Gear Guts, and he asks, hold on, this is a long one. Ignoring how we don't have the full points previewed, which will for sure change up people's army lists? Will you be making any changes to your own list building options? Now the rulebook is free online as a PDF and we can really dig into the depths of the core of the game. Is there any new units you were not previously taking that you want to pick up? Or units that you are currently taking that might get the axe? No. There's nothing that I'm currently taking that would get the axe, because a lot of them have, in terms of viability, are either from what we know so far, are much the same or improved. I think Killer Cans and Death Dreads are going to be better. A lot of the new vehicle rules and things like that have made them better. My Tank Busters have got better because now Tank Buster bombs are blast weapons. So now Tank Busters pose a real threat up close to infantry and hordes, so as well as vehicles. So their versatility has gone up. Certainly, they're still very much focused on taking on vehicles, but now they've got an answer to horde armies as well. So there's still that's just, if you can increase something's versatility and usefulness, then it's going to be much more viable in game. So no, And I've used things before that aren't good anyway. Like I was using killer cans in the like the killer cans have got better over time. Their points came down, which didn't help them enough, but their points came down. But then things like Saga of the Beast brought in the custom jobs and stuff for vehicles, which improved them a lot. So, but I used them before all that, and they were pretty crap, to be fair. But I love the miniatures, so I used them anyway, and I love the whole theme of using them. So, yeah, no, nothing's really going to change with my list. I think there might be some units. I think things like commandos and things are going to be a lot better in 9th with the new rules of reserves and things. I think commandos will be even better than they were before, and of course with the new terrain rules and stuff. Yeah, I think commandos are going to see a nice buff in the edition. I don't currently have any commandos, but it will be something to add to my army at some point. Whether that be if they release a new kit for them or I convert my own, because I don't really... They're okay. The GW kit is okay, but it's fail cast, which puts me off unless you go try and find the old metal ones. They're okay, but you only get 5 of them, so if you want a larger squad, you're going to have to... you don't want repeats, you're going to have to kit bash them anyway. But I want to do them just because, like the tank busters, they'll be fun unit to kit bash and convert. But yeah, no, nothing's really going to change. I think as you play, like anyone, you play and you adapt and you tweak, you refine your list as you play. You know, you learn after a few games what units are working for you, what units aren't, what you'd like to add, you know, things you'd like to bring in. So your lists are ever evolving and changing and tweaking. But yeah, good question. Essex Boys asks, do you think there is any chance of a War Bosses Ork-Off tournament? When all the crazy pandemic stuff calms down, all war bosses from the 40k community page compete to determine the toughest orc warlord in each region. UK, Australia, USA, etc. I would love to see so many orc players all battling it out. Yeah, there's lots of chance for that. Definitely. The community's growing all the time. The spirit in the community is great. There's lots of competitiveness there already with build-offs and things going on. And yeah, obviously the 4 war bosses, me, Dim, Scar and Dread, are obviously all going to be meeting up soon after this pandemic is done with, and battling out our painted armies. So that's going to be happening. In terms of the bigger picture of in sort of areas by areas, yeah, certainly. I think it's very possible. Would I want to organise it? Hell no. Because, damn, there'd be some work. There'd be some serious work organising something like that. I'd be all for it. If someone else would have to organise it, though, because I can't lose my hair all over again, because that would be hard work. People do not underestimate how hard it is to organise people and get people in one location and organise something to run well and smooth. My job outside of YouTube is as a manager, and I know that managing things is hard, and managing anything like that, it all sounds great on the surface. You go, well, let's organise this. Yes, great. Who's going to actually do it? Who's going to go through the effort of creating a really well-run tournament or league or meet-up or whatever? It's not easy. There's a lot of messaging back and forward. Maybe people have to chip in money to cover bed and board and stuff, or a venue, etc. There's costs involved, and just someone's free time. And whenever you organise anything like that, you'll have a lot of people let you down, and a lot of people trying to get it convenient for everyone. It's a lot of hard work, and it's something that I certainly wouldn't want to, at least solely organise. It'd be a tough job. So if someone out there has got the balls for it and has got the determination and the patience to be able to organise something like that, then hats off to them. You know, you go, girl. You go for it. It won't be me. But yeah, certainly, would I want to take part in something like that? Yeah, hell yeah, it'd be fun. Faber asks, what units would you want to see as official models For myself, I'd love to see some more knob varieties, like shooter knobs, burner knobs, etc. Yeah, what you've said would be cool. We do get shooter knobs, but you'd have to buy several of the knob kit to be able to do that, because you only get a few combi shooters in there. So if you want the full squad of like 10 knobs all armed with like shooters, that would be tough going. So annoying that they took away the custom shooters from them as an option. Oh, that sucked. But what units would I like to see as official models? Grot snipers, we covered that earlier. I'd like to see grot snipers. I'd like to see characters, more characters, like Tusker, for example. I know would be a massive seller for GW if they released Tusker the Demon Killer as an official model. GW, you'd be printing money on that. He would sell by the bucket load. But yeah, any of the characters, Wazdaka Gutsmech, Nazdreg, so many, so many Orc characters. That would be the big one for me. Maybe a lot of the old classic vehicles as well. Some of the old vehicles with the cool names. Some of them would be cool to see as official kits and things. But yeah, it's funny with because of our faction and our community. Generally, if something doesn't exist, we just make it, which is really cool and awesome. But it would also be equally cool to see GW release official kits for some of this stuff for sure. John Aylett asks, when the lockdown is over, I would be well up for a game and a beer if you are interested. I'm up for playing pretty much anyone. It all depends on travel and the viability and the realism of actually being able to do it and how far I'm able to travel or how far that person's able to travel to come to me. Yes, certainly. I'm up for playing anyone, really. I wouldn't have a beer, though, because I don't like beer. I don't actually drink, really, these days. I used to drink, but I very, very rarely drink these days. Would certainly be up for a game, certainly. You'll have to message me through the 40k community, buddy, and if you're within a local reach area, then certainly we can sort something out. Because once this army's painted, I want to start doing battle reports, so I'm going to need other people with painted armies to play against and do that, so that'd be cool. Underdog Painting asks, I'm getting into my Orcs at the moment, but what has been bugging me is Orcs seem to be known as a comic race in 40k. Do you wish Orcs were taken more serious? I think they're in an okay position at the moment, to be honest. Yeah, they have been the comic sort of whipping boys of Space Marines for a while. But I think the saga of the Beast and things with Ghazi coming back, and they're really painted in that book as a serious threat, and as a growing threat that the Imperium that the Imperium's been underestimating. And I think that's almost key to the Orcs' success, is that they are underestimated by many factions. Like the famous phrase that the elder philosopher, the quote that says, we see a race as crude and things, this advanced race is crude and things, and that will be our downfall, basically. And I think that's almost part in the Orcs' strength, that the other factions within the 40k universe do underestimate them on every level. And but I don't think that necessarily means the Games Workshop are underestimating them. I think they probably have been guilty of that in the past, but I think at the moment, if you read the lore and stuff in that Saga of the Beast book, they're a threat, and a serious threat. And Ghazghkull, there's the people that know, like Ragnar Blackmane and Commissar Yarrick, etc. Like, there are people that know he is a serious threat to the stability of the whole Imperium and the universe as a whole, and Orcs are a massive threat to all races within the universe. And so I think they and also you've got the comic faction in there. It's part of what a lot of us like about them. It's a fine line. I mean, if you go back into the really old editions of sort of Orc lore and stuff, like, they were incredibly comical. I would say and argue a little too much sometimes. Whereas now, I think they are taken a little bit more seriously, and they are a bit more of a threat, and they are less this comic race. But you still got to have that comedy in there. There's still that quirkiness of orcs, and their character is always going to have that. And so it's a fine line. You want them to be a very serious threat and something that is scary and terrifying and formidable, but also you do still want to keep that comedy in there. So yeah, I think they're just in a good place right now in terms of the lore and stuff. I think they're in an okay place. Next question. Dave Dog asks, have you heard the rumour that the first codex for 9th edition is going to be an Orc codex? Do you think this is true or a load of rhubarb? It's rhubarb. Because we already know that the first codexes is going to be the Space Marines and Necrons, obviously. So that's wrong straight out the bat, but I guess they don't mean that. I guess they mean the first codex after that. It's possible. I haven't seen anything substantial to confirm that. I've got no idea at the moment. It literally could be any of the factions. We could be the first, we could be the last, we could see somewhere in the middle. I have no idea. I would like them to be a little bit later on down the line, to be honest with you, because we haven't had the codex that long. So I'm not really hankering after a new Orc codex yet. I'm fine with this one for the moment and for the foreseeable future. So I'm in no rush to get a new Orc codex unless it comes with a range of new miniatures and kits. And next up, Achievement Hunter. Are you going to do any more battle reports? We need to see some Orc action. Wah! Any more battle reports? Well, I haven't done any yet. The only battle reports I've got listed in the playlist on my channel are battle reports that I did with Nick, featured on his channel. But yes, I'm going to do more of those. I'm going to feature on other people's channels. I've got invites from various people wanting me to come and battle them and feature on battle reports, which I'll be doing that. And very hopefully in the very near future, filming my own battle reports. And that'll be fun and cool. And obviously the war bosses, we're going to be doing battle reports. You'll be able to see those battle reports on that channel, which will also be very cool. And sure enough, will be a lot of fun. Hopefully a lot of fun to watch as well. So yes, battle reports are coming, but they're still a little way off at the moment. Brack the Warboss asks, seeing that objectives are going to be more crucial this edition, when will you be painting your army blue? Never. It's not happening. Look, Brack the Warboss, right? I know you're a filthy Death Skull and you're a looting, thieving scumbag, right? But no, this bad moon's going to be keeping hold of his teeth and all his stuff, and if you come anywhere near it, will be keeping a close eye on you. And if you even think of getting any blue paint on any of my stuff, you'll be facing the Dakar, all right? King Lou's Hobby. He asks, when the world gets back to normal, do you think you would ever come to the US and attend Adepticon? I'd love to. I've been to the States several times, 3 times in my life. I've been to Florida, I've been to Kentucky, and I've been to Tennessee. And all times I had an incredible time. I fucking love going to the States. I love the different lifestyle and the cultures and seeing that. I love the food. Oh my God, the food. I love the food so much. I love it. I've had every single time. I've had an absolutely amazing, incredible time. The States is such an interesting country to visit. And when you visit the States, the different states are so different from one another as well, and the cultures and things. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And Adepticon, it would be great to go to something like that. I've never been to anything like that in my life. Any kind of big nerd fest. I would love to. I would absolutely love to. But money-wise and commitment-wise and things would be very difficult to. So it's not likely to happen. So yes, I would love to do it. Am I likely to do it in the near future? No. But next question. Sorry guys, I'm gonna take off this jumper because it is getting hot in here. Jeez. I closed the windows for the purposes of doing these videos, otherwise you hear all the noise outside of neighbours cutting their lawn and cars going past and neighbours walking past shouting off and things. So I closed the windows, and literally within a few minutes of the windows closing, the heat just builds and builds and builds in this room. So do excuse me. Oh, right, next question, and the possibly the last question, is it? Another one from Carl Reiki, aka Gear Guts. And he asks, with the previewed / leaked images of the marine points creating a glimmer of hope that the Orc Codex will be likewise balanced with both increases and decreases in points, what units do you think will be our big winners and sore losers once we get our points released? Of your entire collection of painted and finished models, which is your favourite? And the more juicy side of things, what unit have you painted but ended up disliking / wanting to replace? What units from the old 7th edition Apocalypse / Imperial Armour book would you want to see new models of? Anything that has been lost to time that should make a roaring return to the Codex. Wow. So we've got 3 questions here in one. So let's break them down and answer them one at a time. So in terms of the points for Orcs in 9th, what do I think will be the winners and losers? I don't know. It's all going to be speculation on my part and all kind of predictions, so I could be completely wrong on this. But just from what I've known and from what I've seen of the Space Marine points and things, I think all points for most things are going to go up across the entire range of all factions. What we've seen so far is that about 90 to 95% of the stuff in each faction is going to go up in points. But up by how much is the key. And a few things will come down. Well, one thing that needs to come down is the Stomper, for sure. This is GW's best chance to make the Stomper a viable unit again and give a decent points drop. If that takes a nice points drop of 100 to 150 points drop and everything else has gone up by a bit, that's going to put it in a really good position and make it viable again. Will they do that though? Remains to be seen. Because I think on the whole, vehicles are likely to go up. I think Death Dreads, Killer Cans, Gorkanauts, Morkanauts, Battle Wagons, all of that stuff I think is going to see a big hike. Because of the new rules of vehicles and things, I really do think that's going to see a hike. We could see things like Deathcopters and stuff either stay the same or come down a little bit because of the way that fly units have got worse now. They can't freely leave combat and things anymore. So their viability has gone down. So if they offset that with a points freeze or a points drop, they will still be a very usable unit. I think the one that I'm most interested in is Boys and Grots. I'm interested to see what happens with the points of those. We've seen a tactical Space Marine has gone from 12 points. Was it 12 points? Yeah, I think 12 points or 13 points in 8th. It's gone up to 15 points. So they are now back to their points cost that they were back in 3rd edition. And I almost think that the points in 9th will be a lot more similar to the points back in 3rd edition. But I don't think Orcs, Boys and Grots should go up. We know that blast weapons and things are going to play havoc with large mobs of boys and stuff. So I don't think it's unreasonable to ask that boys stay the same on points. And I don't think it's unreasonable by any stretch of the imagination that in points, we should be able to get 2 boys for every 1 Space Marine. Now, that's not asking much, in my opinion. For an Orc army to outnumber a Space Marine army 2-1 in a balanced game is not much to ask. It really isn't. We're supposed to be a horde army. We're supposed to have hordes and hordes of boys. And if their points go up by too much, that's going to really prevent that, along with a lot of these new rules. So, yeah, I think if boys stayed at 7 points, happy days. And also grots to stay at 3 points. I don't want to start seeing 4-point grots around. Thank you very much, GW. They still need to be incredibly dirt cheap. So yeah, it's more that ground level stuff I want to see cheap. And look, if boys and grots stay at 7 points and 3 points, and there's lots of new rules that are hindering them and hurting them, like these blast weapons and things, that's going to balance out. I'm going to go, okay, so I get pounded to fuck, but everyone else is paying more for their troops, and these are still dirt cheap now. And a points freeze, if something stays the same in 9th, that's the equivalent of having a big points drop when everything else has gone up. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. The second part of your question, of your entire collection painted, which is your favourite? Favourite thing I've painted is... I do like my weird boy. I like a lot of my characters that I painted. My big mech, my weird boy, my war boss. But I'd probably say my Death Dreads, Snap, Crackle and Pop. Yeah, I'd probably say them. They're probably the favourite thing I've painted in terms of finished products and how they look. I'm very pleased with how they came out. Something that I'm not happy with. There's my mech guns I was happy with, but since doing them, and then I've done my Death Dreads and that afterwards, something, I don't know what happened. I used the same techniques, but the metallics on my mech guns are very dull. There's something I didn't do. I think whether I didn't apply enough ink, or I did something with an unconscious thing. So I kind of want to go back and refresh those a little bit and go over the metallics again a bit and just make them pop a little bit more, which I can do at a later date. That's not an issue. But overall, I'm happy with them. I'd say the one unit I did the big gun recently, the Cromlech big gun, the cannon. And that I wasn't overly happy with when I'd finished it. It looks okay, and it ties in with the rest of the arm and everything. And looking at it later on, I've kind of gone, I was giving myself a hard time. It looks all right. It's fine. But there are imperfections on it and things things that I probably would have done slightly differently on reflection. I possibly tried to rush it a little bit because I was feeling the pressure of trying to get stuff done. So yeah, I'd say probably the one that I'm sort of most disappointed with is my big gun. But yeah, ones I'm happiest with would be my Death Dreads for sure. But nothing I really want to replace. Nothing that I've done a job on that's so bad that I'm like, oh. I think generally I reach that point when I'm halfway through. I'm like, oh, this isn't going well. But in the end, it always comes together and ends up looking good. So, yeah. What units from the old 7th edition Apocalypse / Imperial Armour 8 book would you want to see new models of? Anything has been lost to time. I guess I've kind of answered this one quite a bit already, haven't I? In terms of... well, the Battle Fortress, I guess. The Battle Fortress, although... not so much anymore because I've got one of the older ones. But yeah, I'd like to see that make a return really, because that was always my favourite miniature of Forge World. I absolutely loved the thing, and it's yeah, the Orc range on Forge World is dropped, and it's a shame because they used to do a lot of really good stuff for the Orcs, and there's not much on there anymore. and so that's a shame. So I'd like to see a return of a lot of those. And I don't know whether that's possible, because I don't know whether the moulds broke or whatever, and whether there's some sort of reasons for it, but it's a shame. So yeah, I'd probably like to see a lot of them back. But yeah. Okay, so let's... I think that is it. That is it for questions, guys. That is all the questions. So what we're at just over an hour, so not bad going. So there you go, guys. There's the Q&A session done. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to everyone who asked the questions. It is a pleasure. There's some really good questions in there. I do like doing these Q&A sessions. They're good fun. And I probably won't do one for a little while now, because it's nice to leave a good gap between them. But at some point in the future, I shall return and do another Q&A session. Please, guys, share your thoughts down below, and hit the like button. And if you're not already, please become a subscriber for loads more Orky content. But for now, guys, this is 6 Plus Stevo, signing out.